Welcome. The Between, Stars and Suns, episode 18. So, tonight we begin the Mastermind Threat. There is no recap from previous sessions because all threats are resolved in some way. Before we start, however, I want to give you a chance to have some scenes. Once we start the Mastermind Threat, you are locked in and it's not over until it's over. So any vulnerable scenes you want to have, anything you want to do in the city, any unfinished business needs to happen before we enter the end game and leave London. All right. But before we get completely started, I am owed a Mask of the Past from Eligos and a Mask of the Loner from Mildred. Mildred, do you have your Mask of the Loner ready?
Yes, I can have it ready.
Okay.
So we find ourselves back at that convent on the hill. And I should probably say what the mask is. This is the Mask of the Loner, in which I'm to narrate a time when I almost died because I was alone. And we don't see it. We can hear it, though. The echoes of pain and torment. And then finally, there's just silence for a moment before a door is opened, a heavy wooden door. We hear the clanging of keys, and we see Mildred in long, straggly hair, dark. Her body is in complete disarray, bruised and scarred and burned. And she's being carried by the sisters. And by carried, I mean, they're basically just sort of levitating her. But they're levitating her in such a way that her knees are dragging across the ground. And with a flick of the wrist, they turn her upright, and one of them unlocks the door that is her cell. It's a small square space, one window, but very tiny. It's sort of like a very small jail cell window with bars, iron bars, and she is at the mercy of these sisters. One of them, who is sort of piloting her telekinetically, just with a laugh and this insidious chuckle, she just flicks her wrist, and Mildred is flung into the cell. Her body is slammed into the cement, the brick rather, of the cell wall, and she just crumples to the ground. And the door is shut behind her, and we can hear the echoing laughter of the two witches, the two nuns. And Mildred struggles to get even up, just to even sit upright. And she reaches for that small cell window, and we see that her fingertips are bloody and broken. And she slips down. She keeps doing this the entire night until finally she's able to stand. And she looks out and sees stars. She sees a moon that's partially hidden by cloud cover, and she waits there as long as she can just to see this full moon. But unfortunately, she is far too beaten and broken, and just as the clouds begin to part to reveal the full moon, her body gives way and she falls back to the ground, and she lays there the rest of the night until they come to get her and instruct her in more horrendous ways.
All right. So the mask that I have to narrate is a Mask of the Past. Specifically, it is narrate a flashback to the event that eventually forced you into servitude. And this is going to be a bit of a reach, but if you'll recall my previous mask, all the 10 sessions ago at this point, we left Eligos, or Puck, I suppose, possessed by a spirit in a Commedia dell'arte mask. And that, when next we see him, he is bound in iron chains, not burning, still wearing the mask, in the courtyard of the church that the Coven is calling residence at this point. And God, what is the coven leader's name? I just can't remember.
Helena.
Sorry, say again.
Helena.
Yeah, and Sister Helena is standing over him with an anthemic kriss, spilling blood and saying, "By this blood you shall serve us, and in that service this spirit shall be banished. Do you consent?" Eligos will choke out a small yes, and in that moment a pact is formed. And we see some of his own blood begin leaking out from the places marked by the chains. And his bones begin to shift. And the camera sort of pans up as he begins to scream. And pans back down to a much younger man with dark, ravishing curls that we know and hopefully love. Sister Helena shall simply say, "Your task is to keep our vessel alive until she is ready." And that's where we'll end the scene.
Thank you. I'm going to say it's been several days since you all returned from the void. And I'd like to know what you've been doing, what you've been thinking about during these days. There has been a special invitation issued by none other than Titania herself to you all at Hargrave House, issued on a delicate leaf as big as a page in a book with shimmery writing on it. You can't quite tell what the ink is, but it floats on top of this leaf, inviting you to her manor house in a few days for a special hunt ball that she is holding. So, after having received this, what do you want to do? In recalling the character keeper, I know that the American Smoke has two conditions: tainted and kid scars. Factotum, Eligos, and the vessel Mildred have tainted each. And then the legacy Sir Atticus Wellington-Hughes has tainted as well, and hunt scum. So this is your opportunity to do vulnerable scenes if you want. Again, unfinished business, anything that you need to do here in London while you still have the chance.
I would like to have a scene with Eligos at some point.
I would also like this.
I would also like at some point to have a scene with Greco. See if he can give us some insight on the schemes of Titania.
So I'm going to read that move out. It's a threat move that you earned from doing Creature of Cremorne Gardens. Greco can be consulted via dreams on an ongoing basis. Only a hunter with the cosmic passage marked can take this reward, and only if they spoke with Greco, which you definitely meet both terms, Mildred. So, yes, whichever you want to do first. I mean, like, that's up to you.
Yeah, we'll see what other people want to do. I would like to, have scenes with other people as well if they want to. But I also don't want to take up everyone's time. So, yeah.
No worries. Don't worry. There's a lot to do, but I want you all to feel like you are in accord before you leave London.
Have closure. All
Say
right.
goodbye.
Well,
Who's first?
I mean, if we have a vulnerable scene between Smoke and Atticus, that would be good. We both have two conditions. We both have a rapport.
Works for me.
Okay.
And I also want to suggest, you don't have to take my suggestion, but perhaps there may be some holdover from being in the void. Remember,
that,
you cannot go to the void and come back unchanged in some way.
so that's kind of where I wanted to go. Smoke, would you mind if we have the chat over at the local cathedral that's run by it's
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
Father McDonald?
Father O'Donnell, yes.
O'Donnell. McDonald, what was I
Yeah.
thinking?
I have a couple other things I need to do. One is I need to send off 2 letters. One to my family.
No.
Did you just say no?
He did.
And yeah, the other letter goes to the family of a friend that I may have injured way back when. And the other thing I wanted to do is go talk to like the we have a strange old lady next door, don't we? If I remember right, we do have one.
You
We
mean
do
the
have
neighbor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want to
goodness.
go talk to her and just ask her if she's interested in, at some point, potentially adopting a jackalope.
Oh,
Okay. That sounds so fun. Okay.
Yeah, and then of course, at least one vulnerable scene, but I know Atticus wants one, so that's yeah. I'm okay going into it with one condition, so I'm not too this thing about having 2 scenes.
Are you trying to clear up both conditions, Atticus?
I mean, ideally, we would all be going into this with no conditions, like clear consciences, all the closure we need.
Yeah, I'm down to do a vulnerable move done with you if you want.
Hey, all right. For this one though, if we could pick up Smoke, maybe you're out doing the errands that you noted, and you pass by the church and you see Atticus is volunteering there.
Yeah, I'll go check it out just out of curiosity. Well, just because Atticus is doing something unusual, I guess.
He's helping Father O'Donnell move a couple of things, just politely helping people who are not able to get into the church on their own, moving heavy furniture, that sort of thing, things that he can comfortably do without getting too committed. And in between these tasks, he sees you. So,
Yeah, I will just be not saying anything, probably just sitting on one of Sophia's. Just yeah.
and he kind of bashfully goes up to you and says, did you usually come into the church, Smoke? I did not expect to see you here.
No, but I noticed you were volunteering. I was just figured I'd come say hi. I was out and about, and I figured I'd wait. We could just walk back.
Yeah. No, I'm.
And if you need help, well, I'm free to carry some stuff around.
Yes, that would be welcome. There's a couple of things that I can't just lift by myself, so it kind of leads you to the back, work in silence for a bit, and just kind of confesses, Do you still think about what we saw in the void?
Yeah, of course. It's well,
It felt
it's
right.
it felt different.
I must confess that for all the bluster of damning the Wellington-Hughes name and everything that those bastard fathers did to me and my siblings, there's a lot of privilege that comes with the name, with the burden. And yet I'm here and I see Father O'Donnell and his flock, and there's a certain levity that comes with doing simple service, like a kind of motions to the pew that you guys are in the middle of moving this. I must confess, it felt nice to have the edge dulled just a little bit.
Smirk is going to just sort of not really reply. So look at the pew as they're carrying it, and once they're done putting it wherever they need to, they're gonna look up and say, "Yeah, it's one of those things about could have beens and all that. Different kind of life, and it has its pros and cons. Sure, even it's not supposed to be all happy all the time, but a little less sort of looks at whatever visible scars they have or you have, a little less that."
Yeah. I think I just needed to be here in this church just one last time, smell the incense, just kind of listen to the homily, remember what could have been before we go and we do this, whatever this hunt's ball, whatever nonsense this fey creature is tossing together.
I think I'm gonna say like one of the church bells goes off and smoke jumps a tiny bit, and I think they're gonna say, I think I'm going to leave you to it then. I have some things I need to wrap up back at the house.
Would you like accompaniment? It's he flounders from it. Dangerous in the streets of London.
Smoke is going to actively laugh at this and say, no, I don't mind. If you can come if you want, but
Yeah, he'll wave over to Father O'Donnell and just will close the scene as he follows behind.
Conditions. Which do you think you can release at this point?
So when you gave us tainted, was that because of something Mildred did?
Yeah, it was
okay.
with the ritual room. Yep.
Okay, then I'm gonna get rid of Hunt Scum. I've been doing community service. I was able to confess a bit about gosh, I kind of wish I was a priest again. So
I think I'm gonna get rid of tainted.
Okay.
Because smoke feels a little less sort of affected by the demonic stuff.
Sure. Okay, great. Who's next?
I think that's us, Eligos.
I think it is.
If you're okay, I'd like to use your advice.
All right.
And where would you be in the house reading comedy? Or what are you even reading comedy? Like I'm gonna have you set it up.
Here's the thing is I don't think Eligos would be able to do anything but prepare past this point. Like he would not be indulging.
I have an idea then.
Okay.
So Are you just like in your quarters, preparing, getting stuff ready, or?
Yeah, cleaning Hargrave House, literally battening down the windows.
I think when you're in your own room tidying up, and I think you hear a knock on the door, and it's Mildred, and she's standing in it, and she has and you can tell me what it is if you want, but I think she has your favorite comedy book in her in her hand, kind of pressed to her chest.
Thomas Swift's Modest Proposal.
Yes, I found it in the kitchen. I figured you'd want it for
Yes, thank you.
reading. And she just sort of stands there awkwardly in silence for a bit.
It's good that you found me. I had something I wanted to ask you.
I actually had a similar motivation. I should just be more forthcoming with it. But please, you first.
No, ladies first, please.
Very well. I know that I've asked you before, but I think after everything that I saw, everything that we experienced in the void, you know, that invitation that we received, it's our duty to follow up with that. Is that something that you're prepared for?
That brings me to my question, actually. Less
Which is?
question and more. I need you to give me an order, a very specific one, and I need you to do it with this, and he will hold out the blood rose.
You kept this. I don't know how you managed to. It should have disappeared by now.
It's part of our pact. It's
I
a
see.
cornerstone, truly. And that is why I've brought it out here. I need you to tell me exactly this. I am not to leave your side for as long, nor your side nor your companionship, for as long as this rose is on my person.
She looks at the rose and the petals sort of glistening in the sunlight, that deep blood red. And she looks up, or I think she looks up at you. Because again, she's tiny. What do you, what, I don't understand what, yet you, is this some sort of ritual that your mother's put you up to? Or?
No, rather the opposite. I need to do this to counteract whatever my mother has planned. So long as I remain Eligos, she does not have direct control over me, as she does Puck. And the person who has the power to keep me as I am, is you.
And that's what you want. I've come to appreciate independence in a way in my time here, and I see you not as a servant. I see you as a, and she's about to say, I see you as someone I can count on. I see you as your own person. This oath feels like I'm binding you in a way that belittles your freedom, your own independence.
I would rather you do it than the others who can.
She looks at the rose again.
Chosen
And
my condition very carefully. This is not permanent, shouldn't be. But it is necessary.
very well then. And she'll recite the words that you said, the oath, and as she does, the rose starts to sort of the petals start to drift off, and everything sort of becomes this these floating droplets of blood in her hand, and two things manifest out of this: a lock and a key. And she, without touching it, she just sort of like floats the lock over to you. I will have your
Place
key.
it proudly at my collar.
I will have your key then. Should you ever need to be unbound, the key is yours to have.
Thank you, lady.
I should be off. Still much to do before we head out and visit with your mother.
Yes, I have much to prepare as well.
Yes.
Although I am not to leave your side, so we will have to do it together.
Oh, this was very literal then, was it? Well, I was planning on working in the garden. If you would like to come assist me then, by all means. It will be tedious. I tend to use that as a space to not have to rely on magics, the arcane. It's purely a connection with nature. But if that sort of thing interests you, I suppose you don't really have a choice then, do you? But yes, let's be on then. And Mildred will take the key into her hand, and when she squeezes it, the blood sort of just absorbs into her. And when it does, she realizes that this was the hand that had been manipulated by the Duke of Blood. And in a strange way, she expected to have to do this with like an open wound, having to like reabsorb the blood, but something is different. And she looks at her finger and she sees just a sort of circling spiral of blood. It's as if she has some kind of bondage of her own that she's dealing with. Go out to the garden and plant some forget-me-nots.
I think as you're doing that, I think you hear like some furious banging from your room, Mildred. Like things being thrown around.
Eligos,
And a growl and a roar.
if please just stay here for a moment. And she just very abruptly starts to leave the room and head towards her bedroom. And she throws the door open and slams it behind her. What is this? What's this tantrum?
You left me. I couldn't feel you. I couldn't smell, taste, or be in you. I did not like being left alone.
You were left alone for a very long time once before. A day did not matter to you. You were just being petulant.
Your curtains get torn down and sucked underneath the bed.
Listen, you and I, are going to have to pay a visit to them very soon. So I suggest, and you see that she's like struggling to kind of maintain this bravado. She wants to back down because she could feel the energy and the aggression and the heat in the room, but she's trying to she's very much she's not very strong on her own, so she's very much putting on this face, this facade. We will be visiting Titania And no doubt she will have the sisters in her employ. If you want to stay safe and out of their claws, out of their clutches, I suggest you show some respect.
What if I want them to play? Maybe they'll be more fun than you.
You and I both know that's a lie. And I'm going to end the scene there. But I think I'm clearing Tatum because that's the only condition I have. So
Right. And same with Eligos, I'm pretty sure. Especially given this new binding that you've put yourself under. I think this kind of supersedes it. Let's going back to Smoke and Sir Atticus. Yes. There's really no clues to be found at this point. So I mean, like, the only thing that you could enact if you want is invite Smoke to ask you a question about your past.
Would Mildred and Eligos do the same thing as well? It
Yes.
might make sense to have them do that since they're like still in there soon.
No, I mean, like, I've done some cuts before, and then like,
okay.
we're cutting back to you two. So yeah, Smoke, do you have a question for Sir Atticus?
Yeah. So yeah, as you're sort of walking back, you see Smoke like potentially take out, like, we're still in London, right? So we have our personal quarters items.
Mhm.
Yeah. And they're gonna take out Lila's handkerchief, and as they're just sort of, fiddling with it a little, they're gonna look at you and they're gonna say, your name, your surname, I mean, what does it mean to you? You said something about it earlier, but
What does it mean? It is a badge and a burden. It is privilege. It is the promise of comfort, but also being sworn to the hunt. Not just for going abroad and shooting a rhino and enjoying the thrill of the chase, but also our grape house. Also this hunger to just hunt, to see, to explore. I am proud and ashamed of this name, of who it represents. My father, my grandfather, all their hubris, all their gains, all their victories and defeats. It's a complicated answer, I suppose.
isn't it always? It bothers you then, this hunger.
When I first arrived in London, it wasn't there, but since arriving in London, I've smelled it. I feel that the beast is here. The beast is near. And it's left me hungry. And I will find it. But until then, I believe I will be able to satisfy my hungers by hunting Titania. Up until this point, I don't believe you or any of the other hunters have seen me hunt.
No, though that is an experience I look forward to, especially if our first taste is going to be you hunting Titania.
It's kind of like a sharp, a husky sort of laugh, like a meal that he's anticipating. He hasn't hunted in a while. It's been a lot of like the nonsense we've done, but this is the first time he can really just let loose, and he's looking forward to it.
Well, I guess bon appetit to us.
But first, your errands.
Oh, I'm almost finished with them. Just some things to wrap up at the house itself. Not to worry.
Fair enough.
Cutting back to Eligos and Mildred. Mildred, I'm assuming you're going back to Eligos, who doesn't look like he's moved a muscle from where you left him.
Yeah, well, I figured we'd cut to them in the garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just she's got her apron on, her gloves, and she's just working the soil. It's I imagine it's still winter, and I don't know anything about planting flowers, so I'm just going off my own bullshit right now. But I think she's planting seeds, and she's doing so. She there's a moment where she has her hand on the soil and she looks up at Eligos. She asks, "If something does happen to me, what will happen to you?"
That is a complicated question. Before we crossed into the fragrant void, I would say that we have one flesh and we shall meet one end. Now, I don't know. I cannot tell you, honestly, what will be left.
I suppose it's the best answer I can hope for. And she goes back to just sort of digging and trying to sort of keep this composure to herself. But I think Eligos knows her well enough to know that that sort of uncertainty doesn't sit well with her.
Anything else? More scenes?
Yeah. I think Eligos and Atticus were going to do a vulnerable scene, or
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Atticus
Our
needs to-
first.
We haven't actually chatted.
I mean, right. I mean, like Atticus has to be the one to request it, as Eligos can only request with his employer. So
Not only that, but we have that whole you're gonna be accompanied by your employer everywhere you go now. So
Man, I should have included a clause about unless she says so.
I'll let him off the leash a bit. It's a very long leash, at least 24 feet.
okay.
I mean, you could be in the other room. That's fine too. You know what I mean? It's like
As
maybe
long as-
Mildred has to go to the bathroom, whatever. I mean,
Or we're just like back to back again, but there's a wall between us.
yeah.
oh,
That'd be cool.
This is great. Just you, me, and this heavily ornamented wall between us, Eligos. It's wonderful. I'm trying to think because, I kind of did the confessing sins bit in the church for my vice, and we just covered Eligos's comedy for his vice.
No, that is the trouble. If this scene can't happen, that's also fine.
If we
Can
can
I
have a
suggest something?
vulnerable,
Sure.
Just because I imagine maybe Eligos has checks things out of the library. Maybe he's on his way to put the book of comedy that Mildred found back into the library and in his own private section or he has or whatever. And maybe you intercept him. I don't know.
I mean, there's more than one comedy in the library, I'm sure. So
Certainly.
in the in-between moments where maybe Smoke goes into the post office to privately write and deliver these letters, Atticus just catches Eligos going into a library. Eligos, he reads.
The help can read.
I mean, Sir Atticus, I'm sorry, Sir Atticus is very classist. So yes, he
It's
will.
fine. He'll be dead soon.
Oh, don't say that about Eligos. He'll be fine. But yeah.
Well, yes, but he won't be Eligos. Anyway.
Yeah, so Sir Atticus is going to actually, out of curiosity, follow into the library and kind of Not hunt, just follow, pursue, investigate Eligos. And stumbles upon him. Do you go put the stuff back? Are you perusing a section of comedies? What do you
Have
do?
I upset you somehow, sir?
No, of course not. I just not typically my usual sort of reading, and I was looking for something different. The American science fiction it grows tiresome after a while.
But I think I wish I knew more about period comedies so I could bust one out and appear worldly and erudite. But
Well, you could also just recommend like a classical commedia dell'arte if you want to.
yeah, let's do that. I'll do one about Il Capitano, which is he's the powerful soldierly aristocrat.
Appropriate. Nice. I like it.
Yeah, so here's an Italian opera. Can you read Italian? I believe we have a translation in a collection here somewhere.
That would be most appreciated. Thank you, Eligos. I can't say that in all my travels I very much picked up the local tongue. The food was amazing, but I could never quite match up to the staccato rhythm of their language.
Yes, no, you British have a horrible time of it anywhere else.
Do you find that this helps, Eligos?
It helps me. Can't say that it will help you.
No. But you seem to be an upright, good fellow. You seem to be a good sort, and I've seen that you put Mildred's well-being above practically anything else. You're good help, Eligos.
Thank you, sir. I've invested a lot in that seeming. Anyway, in this one, a man is disemboweled, and then you'll appreciate it. It's very funny.
Oh, very good. And if there were any like more in-depth questions, maybe. Otherwise, I'm perfectly happy to have Atticus just start pouring through these books as you recommend them one after the other.
Okay. Questions that I would have for Atticus.
Because since this is your vice, I could ask you a question about your past if you want.
Go ahead if you've got one. Because I don't know. There's nothing like of finale importance. You know?
Then we'll settle for something nice. In your time serving with Mildred, she seems to be a very humble sort. What has been a task that you've derived the most joy out of in your service?
Oh, you're gonna get a programmed answer.
I mean, he'll legit like look at you. Like you could, if you want to give the programmed answer, sure, but he's gonna give you just the raised eyebrow. Like, come on.
It's not like you to regard the help like this. I wish I had a more interesting answer. But if I had to put a finger on it, it would be preparing tea for her in the mornings. There's a great deal of art to it. It's a simple task, but it never gets old.
I see. Yes, that fits.
Profiling me like one of your beasts, huh?
Nothing quite as sordid as that. More.
No, I welcome it. There is a possible world where I turn against you at my mother's ball. I have taken steps to prevent this. But if it comes to pass, I know that you can be trusted to hunt me to completion.
He'll quietly consider you for a moment. Thumb through this book. True as that may be, I believe I'm more a fan of comedies than tragedies. And I believe that rather than the easy answer of hunting you, there's the more interesting, exciting answer of hunting your mother. I'm a rather large fan of the Gordian knot, or rather the solution therein.
Yes, your family has been a thorn in my mother's side since at least your great-grandfather's time.
The help knows more than he lets on.
As I have said, there is a great deal of seeming to the help.
You're more than just that, Eligos. The help goes and repairs foyers and serves tea and the like, but you are there at the front lines providing assistance against beings other. I would even count you as an equal, Eligos, regardless of class standing and whatnot. Look, Matt, this is him being humble.
Oh, it's so touching. You think that matters to me.
See, yeah, I think he'll just leave that there.
Do you think that you can clear your remaining
Yeah, I think being near like someone that's so closely tied to Mildred's particular brand of magic, also the wonderful purification abilities of comedy. A guy gets eviscerated in one of these books. Why not?
Sure, it's hilarious.
I was so close to describing the plot of Cocaine Bear. You have no idea.
Stop it.
You should. No, you should have. I would have loved it.
No. All right. So, Smoke, you wanted to do a vulnerable move with, I think, Mildred?
If Mildred is up for it, I'm okay going into it one condition as well.
So
if
whatever
we
you want
don't
to do.
have
Whatever you
time
wanna
or
do.
whatever.
I'm totally a fan of you going in
What
more
was
danger.
Mildred? Actually, yeah, you know what? I think we'll go in with get scars. I think that works. We'll just keep it. That's fine.
I'm into it. I love it.
Okay.
Matt's is
Live on
not
the
happy
edge.
about my decision.
Hey, you know what? I mean, I can't wait to see what you all do. I really can't wait. It's going to be hilariously fun.
And they have masks now, so you never know what happens.
Yeah, we have masks.
Yeah. So, you have had ample opportunity to make your preparations for what you anticipate will happen over at Titania's. And things have been strangely peaceful in London, even more so where the rain, the usual rains or humidity has stopped, and the sun has come out every day before your trip to go to this manor, which you still have no idea where it is, but the leaf had said something about a conveyance being sent to bring you to her manor house. And there's been scuttlebutt on the streets about over the past couple of days, the palace has been concerned because Victoria has taken a sabbatical in secret. She hadn't really told anyone where she was going. Some have assumed that she has gone to her winter quarters to rest. But again, the scuttlebutt is that's not necessarily the truth. And certain townsfolk have been missing. Maybe certain contacts, people that you knew or have met through your dealings with the threats. Father O'Donnell hadn't been seen for a couple of days after you helped at the cathedral. The Palais de Gaieté has been closed down for supposedly renovations, but Eligos, you know from your worker contacts there that Lily hadn't been seen for several days either. And then, strangely enough, when you went to go talk to your neighbor, Smoke, her manservant had actually answered the door and looked puzzled, as if he did not know whom you were talking about. And as before, the Society Obscura has not been seen since you had left their townhome. But that's just, again, scuttlebutt. On the day that you were invited to make your way to Titania's, you find that there's a carriage out front in the early morn. And it's large. It's highly decorated in woods and some slight gilding. Nothing as resplendent as like the REC carriage or as down home as a regular hansom cab to fit you four in there. Something pretty well appointed, can fit quite a few people in it as needed. What do you do?
Well, I suppose this is it, isn't it?
Yep. I load my gun and put it into my bandolier. I'm ready to go. Time to crash a party.
Indeed. And Mildred's put on, she's put on sensible party gear. It's not too ostentatious, but it's a nice jacket with puffy sleeves, sort of a mauve pink color, nice little hat, with a bit of flowers in it. But do you want us to tell you what we're bringing or no?
Not just yet. I'll do an
Okay.
official.
So yeah, she'll just sort of like wait out by the carriage, almost like waiting for everyone else to load in.
And as you say that you're loaded and ready, Sir Atticus, I think you hear, maybe a little bit overdone. And the carriage door swings open as you see Kemuel open the door, and then you see sitting in the far corner from the door the white clad figure of Lady Edwina Sojourn sitting at the carriage. And she gestures for you, come in, come in, come in. Not that we'd end up being late, of course. I mean, it is the Hunt Ball. It's going to be held in the evening. But I just want to make sure that there's enough time to get there so we can prepare and so also we can just freshen up, of course. Come in, come in, come in. You are new, correct? You are Sir Atticus Wellington-Hughes.
Yes?
Indeed, I am. I have not had the pleasure of meeting you, Lady.
Lady Edwina Sojourn.
A
How do
pleasure,
you
lady.
do?
And she brings her hand out for you to kiss.
Yes.
Lovely to meet you. This is my colleague, Kemuel Targaris.
And you see next to her, like after he opened up the door, a quite handsome fellow, almost beautiful, with long brown flowing hair down his shoulders, and he's wearing quite the fashionable suit, with the shirt open, like down to his, like down past his chest. Yeah, and he just kind of gives you a little bit of a nod and a smirk, and he looks very directly at Mildred. Are you prepared for this? He's looking directly at you, Mildred.
As much as one can be, yes.
We are also loaded for bear,
Lady Edwina pipes up.
however, I think where we are going, they may, what's the word?
And she kind of turns to you, Smoke, and says,
What do the Americans call it? Frisking, I think. We're going to be searched. I'm pretty sure. When we get there.
Smoke is not going to say anything. They're going to sort of almost like roll their eyes and just, yeah, not really engage with her.
That's fine, but I do believe she's going to be taking precautions. She may not say anything or think anything amiss if you are with us, of course. But the iron, the metal that you're wearing may cause some consternation amongst other guests there.
With all due respect, my lady, I believe Titania, and when she says Titania, she kind of looks over at Eligos. I'm sure Titania knows why we're coming. We do not need pretenses here.
They'd take offense regardless.
True, true, true. Well, I'm sure they're going to have some sort of precautions in place for those guests that seem to be a little more enthusiastic about the hunt part as opposed to the ball part, of course.
and she snaps out a fan and just starts fanning herself a little bit. Even though it's getting cold, it's still winter time and it's cold out. And then I'm going to say from the back of the carriage, as you all start to pile in and then like you have your equipment, I think she kind of looks at you, Eligos, and
I think you can stow the gun elsewhere.
And this is where we're going to get into the rules of the Mastermind Threat. Okay. So during the Mastermind Threat, there are no phases. Any moves implicated by the phases would be handled on an individual basis for the most part and may well not apply. So the only phase would be something equivalent to the dawn phase, and that would appear at the conclusion of the threat. Okay, so once we're in, we're in. Any moves having to do with the mastermind clues, that portion of your move is gone because there's no more mastermind clues to time us down to this. Okay. Now, you can only bring 3 personal quarters items to Titania's manor home. Choose now and wisely if you haven't already. You may want to change your mind, giving you a couple of minutes to think about it. And you just want to highlight them or bold them in the character keeper so I can see. All right. And then we'll consider those loaded into said character keeper.
So iron is going to be a problem. Okay.
Oh. Well, dang, there goes the harpoon gun.
Yeah, I'm putting the gun away.
She will say, I mean, you know, as Lady Edwina had said, she's probably Titania's probably going to have some precautions against anybody bringing iron.
Well, we're all full of blood, so joke's on her.
Let's see. So yeah, go ahead and highlight the items that you plan on picking. I think Smoke, you've already picked out your items.
I don't actually need these masks. Does the blood rose even count anymore?
If you've used it, like we'll consider that like already on your person. I'm not going to
Okay.
count it against you for the 3 items.
Okay. Oh my God, how did I forget I was bringing the camera?
Yeah, wait, hold on. You're bringing.
Of course I'm bringing the camera.
All right, all right. Bold choice. We'll see if it plays out.
I
See
mean,
how
you saw
you-
what it did to Eligos.
We saw what it did to a couple of people. So I mean,
Bringing hot crossed buns.
And wait to see you try to use that one. Okay. So funny.
The they have specific taste. No dream is so good as the real thing.
Oh, and I should mention, and I didn't even find this out until recently, but supposedly you can also give other player characters personal quarters items if you want.
Oh, that seems like that would have been really useful.
Like I said, it's like I didn't even know that rule existed, to be honest.
I mean, it makes the Factotum steal shit roll move that he can get kind of questionable, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, like, again, it's like the whole idea of like you can gift or give your personal quarters item to someone, but the Factotum stealing it kind of it just implies like a different type of Factotum. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So it's a character. I'm thinking it's like a character thing, when you take that move. So.
Hey, Atticus, can I have the monkey stick?
sure, you can carry the monkey stick. Leaves my hands free for something else.
I don't remember what it does, but
It's in the
extra
moves. It's in the
space.
moves reference tab.
It's got 7 uses. You pick one person, and they've got to listen to you at the detriment of literally anything else they're trying to do.
Right.
It seems extremely useful.
Yup. All right.
All right,
Yeah, you can
Grabbing
take the
that.
monkey. Yep.
monkey stick snatched.
Monkey stick. And you said that I didn't need to mark the bird in as something I was bringing.
Correct. That is, I consider that part of your person, so I don't consider that as one of the things that you have to mark as for a personal item, or bring as a personal item that to the manor house.
Quick question, Mads.
Yeah.
So you're mentioning of these precautions is that meant to over the table mean that if we bring something that is iron, it's going to be checked at the door. It's going to be useless.
I'm going to allow you to figure out a creative way to bring it along with you if you choose to do so. I mean, I'm giving you a little leeway here by giving you a warning in the beginning.
Matt,
So
you
yes.
have no idea how hard I want to smuggle this harpoon gun.
What
I
are you gonna
don't
do?
know.
Put it up your
I
pants?
don't know
don't
how I
understand.
would do this.
It's an emotional support harpoon. It's,
Oh my god. I don't even think Titania's gonna buy it. So,
Oh, I'm sorry. Is the
no.
all-powerful Fae Queen afraid of a single harpoon? Yeah, that's gonna play out great with the rest of your Fae friends, right? Mm-hmm. That's it. Goad your mom. Do it.
It's gone so well all the other times. Yeah, I'll bring the gargoyle claws for bargaining. Who knows? Some lesser Fae noble might find it neat.
neat. Oh my god.
You're right. Cursed puzzle cube. Why am I not
Cursed
bringing-
puzzle cube.
I should bring the cursed puzzle cube. You're absolutely right.
What are you talking? Why was this even a question?
Because there's a burgundy waist. Like, if I get the waistcoat and a mask, I actually look like I'm prepped for a Fae party. But you're
Okay, good.
absolutely right.
I mean, looking
does
good is
fit-
important, though. Looking good is
Yeah.
very important.
Yeah. I mean, and again, it will mold itself to whomever is wearing it. So, it's not a female waistcoat or anything like that.
But cursed puzzle cube.
Hey, It is up
Irene,
to
come
you what you
on.
think you will find useful, okay? I mean,
Let's really get this party started.
okay.
Has a lot of uses.
All
Bring some
right.
guests.
Okay. So,
Hurling the cursed puzzle cube down like a smoke bomb.
oh my God. All right. And Eligos, you've picked your three,
Yes,
correct?
I'm bringing the gargoyle claw, the Watley camera,
Mhm.
and the monkey stick.
Okie doke. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna say is like you all pile in with your items on hand. And you start to amiably like roll out of London. I think from the back, you're going to get a whiff of some smoke. Not regular cigar or cigarette smoke, but this smells like opium. And from the shadows of the back of the carriage, like in a separated section, you're going to hear, "Well met, Hargrave House." And the gleaming mask of the man in the sun mask comes out of the shadows to lean over the seats.
Who all has met the man in the sun mask? I know Eligos has.
You and Smoke.
Did we?
Never seen this guy in my life.
Wasn't there a whole timey-wimey adventure where he was there and you were there?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yes, you were there. You talked with the man in the sun mask about Dr. Noble, but even before that,
Oh, you're right.
mhm,
Ah, okay. Got it.
even before that, when you had that montage of Smoke dressing in Oda's suits, he came back to claim his mask.
That's right. Yeah, the mask looks fitting on you.
Hmm.
As it always does.
Are
Yes. Yes.
you intending to hunt something as well?
We only know that it is a hunt ball. Implies festivity, implies merriment. And yet, there is the smell and the taste and the blood of the hunt. Is there not, Sir Atticus? And this is where the man in the sun mask turns to you. This is a full sun mask where, like, you have, like, not like big wide rays, but like just enough that you can see them like coming out of his mask, which is like a full mask that except for covering his mouth. And then it's like it's also like a helmet because it's, you know, there's also like goes to the back as well. And he's wearing golden robes and lounge pants and down to his golden slippers, which you don't see because of course he's just leaning over the back of the carriage. But yes, he's quite gilded.
Atticus takes this in and says nothing. He is not a threat.
No.
And seems like Mildred trusts this guy. Atticus will keep his mouth shut for now.
And as you roll past the London streets and go into the countryside, you see how the sunlight seems to become stronger here, where there's suddenly starting to become a hint of rain that looks like clouds are drifting in from the countryside and starting to move towards London. And they're very apparent. And you can smell the air. smells like rain's coming, and you hear like a distant thunder.
Oh, I was wondering, would I be able to have that scene with Greco on the way there?
Yes. So if you'd like to, I mean, it's a bit of a ride for
Yeah.
sure. So if Mildred drifts off to take a little nap, that seems
I think she had some
appropriate.
like sleepy time tea before she got into the carriage.
Sure.
And I'm kind of anticipating this journey. But I think that she's probably like between Eligos and Atticus, so she feels very secure right now.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'd probably slip into a little bit of a nap.
Okay. All right. What do you think about as you go into the dream, Mildred?
I think I'd just focus on the divination room, the tent at Cremorne,
Mm.
being there in front of him again, but with even more chocolate.
Indeed. I think you find yourself like, as you fade into the darkness of sleep, I think you find yourself like jolted into a seat in front of him, back in the tent, and you see more chocolates. And he looks at you pleasantly. It's like, it is nice to see you again, Mildred.
Yes, it's been quite a while. I brought chocolate. I don't know how dream chocolate tastes, but I hope you enjoy it nonetheless.
Only if you will partake of it with me.
Who am I to refuse? And she'll take a little sensible nibble though.
I mean, the camera pans to like, your profiles as you both take out the chocolate and deliberately like, eat it at the same time. And he just keeps his eyes on you. What do you taste when you have this chocolate?
A kiss. She's not sure from whom but it's someone else's lips. It's someone else's breath in her mouth. It's maybe even a little tongue. But she tastes passion. She tastes a release, a surrender even of emotion, of identity. Tastes vulnerable.
And he looks like he's kind of trying it on different sections of his tongue and tasting something similar, because he starts to have like a bit of a smirk on his face, as if he's feeling these things himself. But he will say, this tastes like a memory. Lord Oda had said that I reminded him very much of someone that he loved.
Yes, well, I didn't really come here to talk about him.
But you will see him when you go there. You realize this, yes?
No, I do. I
He
can't
had,
say that I'm surprised.
when you left him from his masterwork garden, he thought he was fine, that he was going to be free of Hargrave House's control. But I think he is lonely and made him ripe for Titania to pick him and pluck him from your ranks.
He's a big boy. He can take care of himself. You know more than lead on, though. What else should I expect? What else should we expect? And can I roll investigation, or?
It doesn't say specifically, interestingly enough. But if you want to, you can.
Yeah. And is this with sensitivity or?
Yes, because you're not quite near Titania's.
It's a 13.
Nice. 12 plus. Find a mastermind clue. Again, ignored because we're not in that. We're out of that necessity right now. But you might get something special. So I'm making a note. Okay. So for your first clue, even though it hasn't quite begun yet, I'm going to say that he starts to shuffle the cards. And then he lays out like a simple 3-card spread. But these are not cards that you would normally see from a tarot. You know what the divination tools are. But these tarot cards look quite different. One depicts a beautiful tree with spreading branches of gold and roots of silver. The next card is of a man, old, and then young, and then faceless. And then the last card is a woman in a blood-red cloak with a blood storm behind her in a gesture of welcome on these cards. This is what I see for you. They could be connected. They could be choices. But any way that you look at these forms the story you are trying to tell. Remember this one, Mildred. And he holds up the one card that has the tree of gold branches and silver roots. And it's like the card is getting closer and closer and closer and filling your vision. And then you slowly wake.
Oh, sorry, nodded off there.
No worries, we're just arriving now.
You come upon this lane. The rest of you, as you were waiting in the, in the carriage and just riding, you got the sense that the forest was almost clearing in your path. There was no discernible pathway to be had, and yet it would be clearing as you go along, because all through the side windows, you would see like thick brambles and thickets of branches, tangles of forest, but you can't tell how this carriage was able to navigate. And it opens up into this very wide clearing on this high hill. And you are urged to step out of the carriage to see this grand manor, probably a few 100 feet away, as you're seeing other conveyances, like other carriages, even some handsome cabs that made it in here, or some like horses, like individual horses that look like they're being brought somewhere, and people that are milling about. And you see some of the faces of the people that you didn't expect would actually be here, the rumored ones that had disappeared. Lily is here. She had come off of a cab. Father O'Donnell actually is here as well, looking a little confused. And yes, several of the others that you wouldn't have expected. And as you come out of the carriage, what do you see? Again, sprawling manor home. It's beautiful. There's some intact statuary here of some of the Greek gods, some gods that you may not know of. Eligos, you might even recognize some depictions of some Fae nobles that you might have remembered from long, long ago. What do you see here that gives you the sense that this has passed into another place, but not quite?
There's amongst the statues, there's also, I think it's called topiary, the sculpted bushes. But they're all depicting beautiful people just sort of in these very erotic poses. But all of them seem to have either some kind of animalistic feature to them, whether it's antlers or hooves. And I think as we get closer through this garden area, we can even see them start to sort of thrust and shift and move.
All of the windows, such as they are, depict different places, different times of day, different light streaming in, but they all have the same gathering storm clouds.
The sky is dark, nighttime, but the moon is central, fixed above the manor house. And the stars are moving perceptibly enough that we can see them orbiting the moon, sort of like an upside down orrery above us.
And you see at the door, as you make your approach, again, the sun is streaming. I mean, it's very bright. It's like it's probably at this point like midday. You see Peas Blossom, who is wearing what looks like a bespoke suit. His arm seems fine now, or like, you can't see any problems that he's having with it. And then of course, Cobweb, who's flanking the other door. Her tall figure is like actually like taller than Peas Blossom when you see them like near each other. But where he's big and beefy, she's incredibly thin, but she wears her suit very, very well. Okay. Oh, I apologize. Eirinar, I'm sorry. Did I skip your paint the scene? I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. I was struggling to think of something anyways.
Do you have something?
No, I was just gonna think of something, but yeah, no worries.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so they're at the door and they're greeting everyone and then ushering them in. And you see in the distance, like around the side of the house, you see like the surrounding forest. And you see a gorgeous figure with his hair tied in some kind of high ponytail and wearing something that looks half like a kimono, half like some kind of tailed robe, slashed down to his navel. You see Lord Oda in the distance, flanked by what look like antelopes. He doesn't see you. He looks like he's moving into the forest. And Lady Edwina will hook her arm into Kemuel's and say, "Well, it looks like it's time to go in. I hope that you have hidden what you need to hide. It becomes treacherous here now."
So you've been here before.
Kemuel here has worked with Titania.
We know.
And Kemuel will kind of look over his shoulder at you, Mildred, with one eye, with one lock of hair fetchingly going across it, and say, I've worked with her. That does not mean that is a permanent arrangement. And then he turns away and then escorts Lady Edwina to the door. What do you, excuse me, what do you four do? The man in the sun mask has kind of remained in the carriage. Like, he hasn't come out just yet, just so you know.
Are there other people who are masked?
No,
Okay.
the man in the sun mask is quite unique. In fact, because you don't know, I'm going to just let you know right now. It is purported that if you remove his mask and stare fully into his face, you will die.
Not going to do that. Thank you for the heads up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, step out of the carriage and extend a hand to whoever is willing to take it.
To help them out of the carriage or to
Well, yeah, to help them out of the carriage.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, Mildred will take your hand.
Cool. And just kind of scanning the scene. We're going into the clearing. We're going into the manor house. Not
Yeah, where is everyone? What's the traffic like?
Yeah, the traffic is where, I mean, like, you know, people are coming around like the big circle and then they're being dropped off and they are going into the manor house itself, kind of chattering. Some people sound like, you know, this is not a surprise. Maybe they got an invitation too. And I think you do see the gleam of like the special leaf or whatever in some people's hands. But I will say this, aside from Lady Edwina and Kemuel, most of the other people that are here are what you would consider mundane, ordinary by regular standards. So you don't necessarily see any titled folk here, you know, aside from Lady Edwina and Sir Atticus, you know, and such.
I think I get it. Okay. I think we're being ushered in as prey. It is a
I'd
game.
expect nothing less.
Numerous people who cannot defend themselves in an enclosed, well-lit area. All right. Wonderful cover. I'm ready to go.
Smoke, do you step out of the carriage?
Oh yeah. Step out of the carriage, have mirror sort of follow near my heels, like at my feet, sniffing out if anything particularly suspicious close to me. And yeah, have one hand either on or very close to my gun. As always.
When you go to the door, and I believe at this point that Lady Edwina and Kemuel have already gone inside. When you go to the door, Peas Blossom is going to look as intimidating as possible, including in front of you, Sir Atticus. Thank you very much. He's going to like have his arms like, you know, like this and just like, I'm ready for you this time. And
Hands up, please.
And then Cobweb's just going to be looking at you all and saying, I suppose it would be useless to ask if you have any weapons on you all.
The only weapon I have is knowledge. As I pull out my items, I have a mask, a mummer's mask in the shape of a stag, so that I would look appropriately festive. I have a simple puzzle cube, one move from being solved. And I also have a small handwritten bestiary passed down by the Wellington-Hughes family for generations.
Interesting collection. I suppose you're going to read and play while you're here, eh?
I could probably set aside some time for some more physical exertion if you find yourself available, Cobweb.
Always. But as she's saying this to you in that way, she kind of looks over at Peas Blossom. And if you happen to look over at Peas Blossom,
Oh, yeah.
he is none too happy with you. And she kind of just like ushers you in. I mean, she doesn't frisk you or anything like that, but I mean, like, you know, she just kind of gives you guys the eyeball. So if you don't have it completely out in the open, she's not going to say anything.
Oh yeah, no, the burden's with me, but I ain't gonna go waving that around in front of the dude whose arm I cut off with it.
I think sort of just kind of like be more covert, but to tie in a couple of items. So I'm bringing in my tea leaves because, you know, she only has constitution for it, but she's got a book of poetry that she's bringing with her. But I think to get her knife from Taggart in, she sort of carved out the middle of it and just put it in the book so that she's
Beautiful.
carrying it around.
Nice. Okay.
Don't know.
Smoke. So are you just like kind of hiding your gun under your duster, or are you actually like making it very apparent?
Oh, I assume that Smoke was actually wearing like semi-formal fancy clothing,
Yes.
either like from Oda's wardrobe or
Yes.
such.
Yeah. And I think
Uh,
we established that. I mean, like, you know, you can easily stash the gun in the suit,
Yeah,
you know, like, because
yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna hide it like, yeah, in the sort of coattails or just on the inside or what have you.
sure.
And yeah, I'll put out my other two. Well, one of the items is mirrors, so I'm going to look Peas Blossom, right? Yeah, I'm gonna look Peas Blossom in the eye, and I'm gonna put out my pocket watch and such. But I'm also gonna just, as I'm looking him in the eye, just very distinct, like put mirror in the middle of the table, knocking over as much stuff as I possibly can, making
Sure.
as much of a nuisance of myself.
No problem. Yeah. And he just kind of like huffs and then it's like waves you on. In fact, I'm just gonna like imitate something from a true memory in my head. Like what he does is like he kind of brings his hands together, like his fist and like, you know, and one of his hands, and just kind of cracks his knuckles and goes, like, go. And then, you know, gestures you on. And then when you come to the door, Eligos, I think both Peas Blossom and Cobweb bar your way.
Problem?
You look familiar.
Yes, we've no, I don't suppose we have ever met. Strange.
And Peas Blossom will sniff you. He smells familiar. And Cobweb will sniff you as well. Interesting. There's a little bit of puck about you.
May I proceed?
Titania will vet you once you're inside. Certainly. And then they like as one, they will both separate and then let you go through. But by a very bare margin, like you'll have to go sideways to get past the two. So
I do it gracefully.
of course. And I think as you all go inside, I mean, like the inside has been spruced up so much so that there's candles lit, even though it's still daytime. And then you see like all of the shiny, polished wood, and just seeing things that are just intact and new looking somehow. And there's a pattern of a chessboard on the floor, black and white. And somehow, as people come in and there's a panning of the camera from above, overhead. It's like the pieces are starting to settle on each of the squares. And from the grand staircase above the foyer, there is a greeting, a clap of sorts, and a greeting from Titania, who is wearing her usual burgundy hood, but it looks newer. She looks younger. And she addresses you all from the balcony. Welcome, my guests. I greet you here to my home for now, as we look forth and forward to the hunt ball this evening. It will be a grand experience, and you are all invited, as you are. My servants will equip you after the ball, after the wonderful dance that we're going to have, dance and dinner, and then we will ready ourselves for a night hunt. But in the meantime, please enjoy the comforts of this, my home. And she makes her way down towards the foyer. And you see, as you're looking more forth, you see Fairy Boy dressed, and you also see Periwinkle. They are here, and they're acting as kind of like valets, like servants. They're like kind of like, have trays in their hand, passing around drinks. They're in strange glasses, strangely shaped glasses, like, like some may look like blooming flowers, others may look like, tree trunks that have been cut in half. But yeah, they're passing around these drinks. Titania comes amongst you and bids everyone welcome in their own individual way. I think at this point, you'll see like different folks that maybe you don't know. Again, they look ordinary, they look mundane, but they are around and they are starting to also like give like little hors d'oeuvres, and set out some little leaves as plates. And then she makes her way to you all. I thank you for accepting my invitation, including you, Eligos. That is the name you're going by these days, yes?
That is my name, yes.
We'll see if that remains the case after the ball tonight. You're probably wondering why you are here, even.
Is she addressing that to everyone in general or just to Eligos?
Just to all of you, the four of you.
Payment for services rendered. Clearly, we addressed the situation with Dr. Noble in a most admirable fashion. And this is a reward, as is owing to your kind. Very fair, full.
There is only reward when the mission has been completely resolved. You were supposed to send Dr. Noble back, or you were supposed to make sure that she met the same fate as you saw in the oracle room of Great House.
Yes, I'm sorry. There's been a lot of things that happened between then and now. Your original request was lost, forgotten, considered unimportant. Still, we appreciate your graciousness for inviting us to these wonderful festivities.
And festive they shall be, Sir Atticus. Don't consider it a reward. Consider it, a continuation of the show and the dance.
Of course.
We have the honor of having the Queen, Victoria, grace us. She is readying herself for tonight's festivities, but she'll be by sometime soon.
What business does Her Majesty have with, well, you?
Queen Victoria owes me well. As you know, Mildred, from 10 years ago, and you see her arm like involuntarily like cover themselves like underneath her cloak. You know what's under there.
Of course. How could I forget?
Yes, memories are so short, and yet also undependable. Who knows what memories there are, unless there are people that would be around to remind us where we came from. Like Eligos here, to remind me of where I came from. Or even perhaps old friends, shall we say, yes? And this is where she turns slightly and indicates a back room beyond the foyer. And I think, Mildred, in the darkness of that hallway behind her, you see a few familiar faces. I'm sure the sorrowful ladies remember you quite well.
She doesn't say anything. I think she's looking into this room and seeing these women. Does she see Helena, or does she just see like?
Yeah,
I think
Helena's in the way back.
I think there's a moment where Helena looks up and they lock eyes. And even though up top she's giving very like stoic, very cold, very like she's in control, I think Eligos, who's behind her, would see her hand like starting to twitch and start to tremble. And almost as if wanting to be held, but she just grips the side of her skirt and starts to dig into it.
I have been remiss. And this is where she glides away from you and actually goes back up to the balcony to make another pronouncement. I believe that you are probably all wondering why you are here, besides my honored guests from Hargrave House. At this point, Fairy Boy and Periwinkle have finished giving out the drinks, and Peas Blossom and Cobweb have closed the double doors of the mansion, of the manor house, and have come up the balcony, up to the balcony to go with her. And she is actually smaller, of course, than Peas Blossom and Cobweb. And she's about the same height as Fairy Boy and Periwinkle, but she still cuts quite the interesting figure. I have spent much time here in this plane, appreciating all of its corners and nooks and crannies, feeling what it's like to be in the streets and the rabble, feeling what it's like to be close to the dirt and the poor and the dark and the grim. As you are all here because you have experienced this in your life. You've seen what the streets of London has. You've seen the sorrows. You've seen the grit of this. I am here before you now, inviting you to my home to tell you that there is something much, much better. You all have something in common, and yet you know it not. I have found you all by virtue of your connection to the Fae. In some way, in some shape or form, you are descended. You are all descended from my people. But I have been separated, so I cannot rule as I had. But that didn't stop me from dreaming, even though Victoria had stopped me from remembering and dreaming for these long years. And this is where she kind of juts her chin out. And from behind her on the balcony, this is where Cobweb will pull the hunched figure of Queen Victoria. At this point, Queen Victoria is not young. She is an older woman, as Titania had appeared before. And she is locked in wood chains, wood manacles. This is the one who tried to capture me so very long ago. I had sacrificed some of my power to be here, to just survive, as you are all have survived all this time in your own respective way. You who have shown and performed for many that have passed through your theater walls, she gestures to Lily. You who have worked the docks and have seen the struggles of the laborers, but has a connection to the other world. And she gestures to Nathaniel Tan, one of the dock workers that you had met. He's wearing his seaweed bracelet. And others here, even these young servants. And she puts a hand on both Periwinkle and Fairy Boy. Fairy Boy looks down at you, Smoke, and gives you a little wink. And I'm here to tell you that we can rise, all of us, above the street, the dirt, and the rabble. And I can show you how. We will celebrate with this hunt ball, and I will show you the way where I can return home. And if you want, you can all come with me to a better, brighter world than this. For now, please enjoy my hospitality. Roam the grounds, enjoy food and drink, and prepare. There are rooms available to you all to prepare for the hunt ball that comes this evening.
And what of Victoria, Her Majesty?
Oh, Victoria. She plays a part in this too, don't you, my dear? And she grasps Victoria's hair. As you can see, not only is Victoria manacled in the wood manacles, but she also has what looks like a patch of moss covering her mouth. You can't quite tell how it's held there, but it's covering her mouth and she's trying to speak through it, but you can't understand anything that she's saying. Ah, sorry, can't understand you? No? Ah, well, you will have your piece to say at the ball itself. We are no longer under your thumb. We are free to be whatever we want. At this time, and come this evening, we will be free from your rule. Take her away. And Peas Blossom and Cobweb pull her back into the shadows behind the balcony. And there will be others that will be joining us throughout the day or possibly at the ball itself. Everyone has preparations to make. But again, enjoy yourselves, and you will see in the rooms there will be some raiment that you can wear to ease your burden and join in the fun. And then this is where she takes her leave and then folds into the shadows behind her. And Periwinkle and Fairy Boy will come back down and then, like, just address any guest questions or like show people to their rooms and such. But yeah. That is my sorry, very vague introduction to the threat. So yes, Titania has something planned, and she plans to go home. And the first part of this is to try to figure out what she plans on doing, to do this.
To figure out what she wants or what she wants to do exactly.
Well, we know that she wants to go there. I mean, or go back home rather. I don't.
But it sounds like she doesn't want to go alone because she's like you, who at some point in time were related to the Fae through whatever tenuous connection. She's like, not worth going home without like a party with me. So also kind of smacks of like, I'm gonna kidnap a bunch of innocent people.
I don't know if I call Father McDonald innocent.
Whoa. Okay, fair point. But I mean, like what is it? The camera people are here. Definitely not innocent.
The witches, they're not.
Yeah, but they're like staff. They're different.
No, I guess so. Yeah.
Like servants, guests, yeah. I mean, because she did say there were people invited and such.
Yeah. Okay, so we have to. Let's split up, gang. Let's investigate.
As everyone's milling about and just like looking puzzled and confused, it's like murmurs are going through the crowd of like, what does she mean? Descended by Fae, da da da. There is an old man. He looks old, kind of straggly of hair, weird not white eyes, light eyes. Like his eyes are quite light in his head. And he looks like he's seeing like farther away than anybody else, like looking off in the distance as if he's on the prow of a ship or something. And he kind of wanders in and he takes a little bit of some drink. He's offered some food by Periwinkle and Fairy Boy, and he kind of like, toddles in and looks a little confused. Hello? I'm here. I think I'm supposed to show my work. Yes?
I'm sorry, do we know you?
I don't know. I was traveling at one point, and then they put me in Bethlehem. Ah, maybe I shouldn't have. Knife, axe, something. No, no. Yes, I was invited here to show my work. It's down this hallway. Would you like to see?
Yes, perhaps an introduction first.
Yes. I am Richard Dudd.
Oh,
I'm an artist. Yes.
I can't say I'm familiar with your work, but very good.
Yes. I hope it is. Yes. I think I was invited here because my work is quite appropriate, I was told. Come. I'll show you. And he leads you down this hallway. I mean, he's dressed rather shabbily. He looks like he's like slightly emaciated. And but I mean he still looks like kind of bright-eyed and eager to show you. And what you see down this one hallway from the foyer, it's a different hallway than where you saw the coven. And what you see is what I posted in the Discord. You see like a set of pictures that have been placed against the wall, like hung on the wall. You see like scenes of what look like they're from Faerie, like from the fairylands. You see like all the little pixies and fairies and giants cavorting in glades. You see the picture of the rather sly looking boy sitting on the mushroom cap with dancing fairies around him. You see what looks like Titania herself, with her head all aglow, and she seems to be talking with a man in like helmeted, carrying a spear. Eligos, I think you recognize him as Oberon.
Hmm.
And then another picture of Titania sleeping, like at the mouth of a cave. And then another strange picture, which doesn't look like the rest. It's more detailed, more sharply outlined. And it looks like someone threatening a crowd with what looks unfinished. You can't quite tell what he's threatening the crowd with. But they're all forests, like in the forest glades or, in nature. And there's the level of detail in this. You can see people within people, or people hidden in the brush and the grass. And I think as you look, Mildred, as you look really close at the one with the young baby boy, I think you recognize Eligos, or at least the eyes.
Yeah, when
Eyes
she
are
sees
very
that,
clear.
she just kind of gives a glance over at Eligos. Doesn't say anything, but just kind of like looks him in the eyes to kind of confirm, then looks back to the painting and steps away from it.
What do you think? I mean, I had so much detail in my head. They gave me a chance to paint. They gave me a chance to work on these and add all the things that I saw in my head.
If you don't mind my asking, sir, what
Yes,
what year is it?
year. I don't know. It's been quite a long time since I've been away. They let me work on my pictures.
Hmm. And you wanted for nothing.
No, no, no. They let me paint. They said it would help. It's much better than those horrid baths and the manacles. Yes, manacles. But see, look, this one. And he points to the baby boy. It's like a slight resemblance in the eyes. I love looking into people's eyes. They are so very strange. Those
Quite.
eyes look like yours. Did I see you? Did I see you in my memory for this?
I suspect so.
Milady wasn't too pleased when I did the one of her sleeping. She swore that I should never look upon her again in that way or in that manner. But I think I did a good job. I think I captured her likeness. It's wonderful. It's been wonderful.
Indeed.
And if you look at the pictures, this is not necessarily a paint the scene, but more of a question of like, how do you feel seeing these pictures here and listening to him talk about making them? What do you feel?
I feel the collar tighter than ever. It's nostalgic, but not right, not quite. It's a beautiful image, but it's just that. Someone else's dream.
I don't know if Mildred really feels anything for these paintings. I think she keeps looking back towards the area where she saw Sister Helena and the others. I think that these little works are cute, and the image that could possibly be Eligos, I think that that's sort of a momentary blip in what is otherwise a very tense, almost overwhelming situation for her right now.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I think Smoke is gonna just kind of like skim over all of them and then look back away towards sort of the away from the paintings and just towards the general direction they came from.
Atticus is looking at the unfinished painting. You said that there was a man that was brandishing something. It wasn't decided against a crowd of these Fae.
Yes, if you look really closely, you can see that it looks like he's trying to bring it down upon a little figure that's sitting crouched in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, out of the whole painting, what he is holding, what he's brandishing is incomplete. It's not even painted in.
Atticus is angry. Looking at these paintings like a bunch of Fae propaganda. Look at the silly human. They dare stand against us, and they're paltry. Looking at the painting that you posted, they're small. The humans are a small component against just this massive crowd that are unthreatened. I'm questioning. There's a revelry, there's giants and centaurs and wonderful festivities, but all of it is just supernatural without an ounce of humanity to it. And that thing he said, that these will serve a wonderful purpose. Just annoy Atticus just a little bit more. He's not cultured. He doesn't know about brushstrokes or styles or anything else. He's just reading the message, and it's rather clear to him.
Okay. All right. And then I think we can speed to the hunt ball. Everyone has been shown to their rooms. Everyone has been brought to a place where they can freshen up or wash up or what have you. And what's been laid out for you is what looks like loose garments, like um, togas. I mean, that's the closest thing. I can't think of like exactly what the termage is, but things that you can run in, things that you can traverse, but of a different time, of a different place. And you will notice that outside there is no snow. It is not cold out. It is warm as a midsummer night. As night falls and the hunt ball begins, there's music playing, you can't tell from where. There's trestle tables set out for everyone to have their fill of these things that are here. And Titania makes an announcement. She rings a bell and stands up at her place at the center of one of the far tables. Tonight, we feast again to celebrate freedom from the grit, the mire, and the dirt. And after this, we shall hunt. What is hunted? We shall hunt for blood. Royal blood. And where we strike it down, that is where we go home. Not just me, all of you will be welcome back to Fae lands. And this is where she will, from beside her, she will pick up what looks like a simple mask. But as she places it on her head, it comes down and it looks like a fanged skull with antlers that start to grow bigger and wider as they come out of the mask as she places it over her face. Each one of you has a mask to wear as well. I welcome you to join me in this hunt. Choose. You can be a hunter, or you can be the hunted. And as you sit there and notice the masks that are on the table by your place, you notice other folks in this place have also begun to don their masks as well. And they are of different figures, per se. Some look human, some look like animals. And behind Titania, you can see in the darkened hallway, Mildred, that the Coven have also donned masks, all of human form, but their eye holes are black and their mouths are downturned in sorrow. What do you do?
I brought my own mask. I'm pulling out the mummer's mask shaped like a stag, putting it on.
Okay. All right. And again, that's for fictional positioning. I mean, like, when you're called upon for a role, you can choose to use it or not.
Yeah, no, but like narratively,
Mm-hmm.
Atticus looks at a mask that's given to him by a Fae
Sure.
Queen, says, I'm good with mine, thanks.
And you can see through her eye sockets, she's kind of burning a hole towards you, Eligos. Do you don the mask?
Mildred?
She thinks about it. She looks back up at the sisters who are wearing those kind of tragedy masks,
Mhm.
and looks back at the others and says, "Not wearing a mask tonight. This ends. We will stop it."
Let's see, Mildred, I like it.
Smoke?
No, not gonna wear the mask. Gonna put mirror back on my shoulder, but got it. No mask for me.
And she stands there and looks down. Tiny mask for mirror. Goodness. She stands there and looks down and says, "You have made your choice. When the clock strikes midnight, the hunt begins." And that is the question of your threat. Where will royal blood be spilled? Where will the hunt end in this place? You resolve the threat by figuring out where this place is and setting a trap of some sort, or stopping the hunt in whatever way you can. And I think we can leave it at that, as people have made their choice. And we will close out tonight's session and end with part 2, the finale of the Mastermind Threat. Stars and wishes, if you got any.
It's just good to be back.
Yup.
Oh man.
I want to fight.
Yeah, I'm. That's my wish. Is I'm trying to get up into some stuff. I'm trying to get into like Atticus mode. I'm trying to.
Oh yeah.
Like you're pretty gutsy. You know,
Punch
we're going to end this once and for all. Like, yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
things. We need to punch things and shoot things.
Oh,
yeah.
You'll have an ample opportunity in the next session as you're trying to, get away.
So
Go through the hunt.
are there 2 questions? 1, figure out what's going on, and 2, figure out where royal blood is being spilled?
No, that was my fault. It's like I was like vague on that because I kind of
okay.
wanted to introduce Richard Dodd first, because it's like, part of what he has will be like essentially one of the clues.
Okay.
Is there like a definitive clue though, or?
Yeah, it'll be one
Or
of the
question,
capital
rather.
C.
Got it. Okay.
One of the capital C clues. So
dual stars, 1 for just kind of presenting this sort of guy who's not entirely there, Mads, well done. And then Chris, the star to you for immediately picking up this guy's been sequestered for forever, doing what he wants. Like you jumped on that with a quickness, and like
He painted my baby photos. What was I supposed to do?
See ya, Eirinar.
Bye bye.
bye, Eirinar.
Bye.
Good night, guys.
All right.
Good night. But no, it was nice to finally have a scene with Eligos before we get into the thick of it.
And it was a good scene too.
No, that was
Stars for
great.
that. I had no plans. You basically brought in a whole agenda, and that was great.
And a jet. He tried so hard to be like, yes, the common man. I can ignore the fact that we're not of the same social strata. That's cool. You seem like one of the nice ones.
I know, it was so good.
Oh, God.
And I'm
Especially
glad
because Eligos is technically a prince. Like,
no, it's Sir Atticus's ignorance is one of
No,
the best
it's-
parts of playing him.
oh yeah,
honestly.
it's delightful every time.
Yes.
And I'm just happy I got to see another scene of Mildred and Eligos just, being together. Although the off-camera, like, well, hold on, I'm not ready for that sort of commitment.
Oh my God.
We'll see.
It's gonna
We'll
kill
see.
me. It's just
Lots
gonna
of
kill
things
me.
could happen.
I want to see it. I want to see it all wrapped up, resolved. I don't think there's like an epilogue session. So like,
I mean, there kind of is actually. I mean, like part of it, it can be. Like again, the beauty of the Between is the fact that it's quite narratively based.
okay,
They're facing narratively based. I mean, I'm sorry if it seemed like I tried to keep pushing the boat out. I apologize for that. But
no, others.
Like,
We were
timing.
staying. Yeah, we were staying quiet because we're like, we want to see like what you got.
yeah. Hopefully an okay start. Sorry. Again,
Oh, it's good.
still feel like
It's really
a
good,
baby
Mads.
keeper.
It's
Yeah.
We're all very excited.
it's set up. We know what we're getting into.
And you've made your choice.
Mastermind
And
threats are hard to run. I just ran my first one not too long ago, so I definitely empathize with the trying to keep a pace that seems familiar, but also adheres to the rules of the mastermind threat.
yeah, it's hard.
But I think having the session to just sort of breathe, and then having the next session to be to investigate, collect clues, and to fight and punch things.
Yes.
And cast spells. That'll be, I think that's fine because you've sort of introduced things very, very slow drip. And it gave us time to sort of take in the scene and just take in the setting.
I mean, that could be a good thing or a bad thing of me. I mean, my pacing has always been kind of the thing I've been trying to improve on every time. And it's sometimes it's okay. Sometimes it's oh, I'm so sorry.
I think it's just, you got to anticipate, what you're going to have to do next session. Then
Sure.
that's going to have to all be, investigation. And
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely
answering
gonna
the question and then the
hype.
confrontation. So
Sure, yeah, and
But I
just
think
clarifying it more clearly, so this way you guys know what the fuck am I doing,
Yeah.
But again, it's it's gonna be the location. You're gonna have to figure out what where on the property that she plans on spilling the royal blood and going home. So yeah, it'll be all about that and possibly fighting your way through God knows what.
not possibly. I want to kill something.
I'm kind of worried for the various innocents that you mentioned. Hopefully we can minimize casualties, but I don't think we're gonna have much of an option with that.
Mildred would like to minimize casualties. I'm fine with whatever, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's depends on how you plan on handling this.
Yeah.
I mean, these will be people that you've met, that and you are going to be bringing everything that you have to bear, your personal quarters, remaining masks, moves,
So-
threat moves, whatever,
So it's the idea that Queen Victoria got sent out ahead of schedule and it's sort of like a head start, and then we're going to chase after her, or
yeah. There's
Okay. So she's it's basically a really elaborate hide and go seek game.
Yeah, we got to
Pretty
find the queen.
I mean,
a royal hunt, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's more than the game afoot at this point. So yes. I get stars for all the vulnerable scenes and all the scenes in the beginning. I mean, it just kind of lined up with a few things that I look forward to for either arcing the characters, closing them out, what have you. Who knows what we're gonna see? Because I'm sure you guys will change your mind in the next week. So
Everyone's just hey, Atticus, you're good at killing things. You mind if I get too crazy?
Hey, if you gotta kill me, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, but Atticus is like, I think Mildred would be upset about that. So let's try to find a different solution.
Deep in his heart, he wants this ship, and you know it.
Yeah, Atticus wants the people around him to be happy. It's just unfortunate that the best way he knows how to do that is by killing the things that make them sad. That
He's a
He's a problem solver. I mean,
he's such an incredible himbo. It's just ridiculous. I mean, oh my gosh.
What a guy! What a dude!
What a dude.
what a bro. All
What a
right.
bro.
such a babe.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Uh,
oh my gosh.
Alright.
I wishes just oh my gosh. Like let's finish this up. Let's give everybody like, you know, a great finish. And if it seems like it's gonna come to a close, but like not necessarily resolved. I mean, not the mastermind, but I mean, like, you know, your characters. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, I look forward to the epilogues. I want to see like, you know, what you plan on doing, or if we're just gonna be like cliffhangering into next season. I don't know. I mean, like whatever you guys are willing to do. So yeah. And if you're not, then again, epilogue. I mean, yeah. So trophy dark ending. Oh God, please no. Please no.
Everyone's got a triftic ending.
Shit.
oh man. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
See you all next week.
See you next week.
See you next week.
See you next week.